So I'm gonna throw something out there, and I'm gonna be extremely vulnerable with you, and it might rub you the wrong way.
It's so random, bro. Don't rub me the wrong way, bro. You better not.
Shut up, bro. But I was contemplating quitting the podcast on my walk today.
Before we even started.
No, today, right?
Damn.
But I never said I was gonna do it. I thought about it. The reason I thought about it is because so much of the reason, like,
Or all right, it's recording.
welcome back to the what's it called? What's it called again?
We're not doing
I still haven't got the name of it.
I'm not doing a fucking intro, bro. Chill.
What's the name of the podcast?
Are you gonna keep playing stupid, or are we gonna fucking start talking?
All right. So how's that pizza video going?
Pizza video?
The pizza delivery video you're working on.
What the hell? We weren't even just talking about this. What are you talking about right now?
Huh? No, I was just wondering. It came to my mind.
All right. I haven't even started editing it yet.
Damn, bro, you haven't even started. Ate an offer to edit, man.
Uh-huh.
Are you just not going to talk this whole entire episode?
We're just talking about bullshit right now. Nobody wants to hear this. Come on.
All right, you want me to get straight to the facts of what we were talking about before we started this podcast?
Yeah.
All right.
Stupid.
So you have a tendency of insulting to deflect about continuing to talk about yourself. So instead of like talking about yourself and your emotions, you sort of insult and deflect, and then you use that as a technique to like cope. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that is 100% true.
Or you use humor. A lot of times you use humor when you're uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And at point right now, your background.
What's wrong with my background, bro? Why are you discriminated?
Hey, move your head. Trying to get us demonetized or something?
All right, let me chill.
Like we're making money. But
I actually do care about that, so let me change it real quick.
About monetizing
Our
our shit?
sponsor, Diet Pepsi.
This whole podcast is going to be you deflecting of not talking about the topic about this podcast.
Which exactly explains your point.
And that also explains my point, though.
Yeah,
Because you're so quick to judge and to, like, insult, but you never, like, actually – or you're just, like, quick on it. Like, you get a quick wit, and you'll, like, insult, make fun of, or, like, do all these things instead of talking about, like – instead of actually presenting an idea that's, like, concrete and, like, actually is productive to the situation.
All right, let's talk about it then.
I've been here all day.
So, yes, you are correct. I deflect a lot of stuff with comedy.
Not even that, just comedy and insult. Which is yeah. Why do you do that?
Why do I do that?
I don't know. It's something.
Comedy is really good at covering up insecurities or uncomfortable moments. So people resort to comedy to remedy the situation.
But sometimes it's good to have times of vulnerability where you don't use comedy to deflect that situation. You actually take it in instead of like just pushing it away. You know what I mean? Or at least you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, but nobody wants to deal with that shit, so we use comedy.
Yeah, but to actually deal with your emotions and let them, like, it's a good thing. Like, you feel them, right? Because comedy is pushing away the emotions or running away from the emotions and not actually feeling them.
I.e.? Oh shit! I used that in the wrong context. For example,
I don't get what you just said.
can you bring up an example of me using comedy to reflect to deflect
Um,
conversation?
at the beginning of this podcast, I was trying to bring down this topic, and you're just like, you pull up the picture of the what's it called?
Say it, Hector. The what?
The black dude with the
So now you're discriminating.
with the 13-incher.
So you're discriminating guys that are darker because they have 13 inches.
So you're trying to tell a joke right now to deflect of what we're trying to talk about right now.
I think you're discriminating.
You're trying to be funny, but in reality, you're just moving the conversation away from what we're actually talking about, which is you deflecting the conversation we're talking about right now, which is you deflecting, which is so meta.
And irony.
I don't think you use irony right there.
The catch-22.
I don't know what that means.
Dude, I'm just sick and fucking tired of people trying to have conversations with me, so I just use comedy.
Yeah, but like, see, it's kind of hard when we start a podcast together, right? Because I'm putting my heart and soul out there, right? I'm putting everything that comes to mind, like everything I'm trying to try, all the things I'm struggling with, and then you come at me with an insult just to like for the comedic factor, but you actually don't put anything productive out there, right?
But here's the thing, though.
So hold up.
No, you hold up.
It should be a critique. I'm not done talking. It should be a critique, right? So it should be a criticism, but with something that you can change to improve. But if you're just going to be putting like a thing for a quick laugh, well, then it's like unproductive.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's actually how I think.
I think that's a bullshit excuse.
Bullshit excuse? What are you talking about? Why would I say it if that's not what I was thinking?
I think that's a bad habit.
It's a bad habit to use comedy in conversation.
Or no, it's not just in conversation, but it's in serious things.
Well, if we're having a debate, the point of a debate.
We're not having a debate. We're not having a debate.
That's what you and I have most of the time. Is mainly a debate because we're trying to prove each other wrong.
Yeah, but most of the time we're arguing the same thing, but you're just insulting, and I'm trying to like defend myself, which puts me in a place where to be like it makes it easier for you to win because you're just insulting and I'm trying to defend. And if I'm not on the offense, then I lose all the time.
Yeah, here's the difference between winners and losers. I'm a winner because I don't worry about defense. I worry about offense.
Well, no, I think I allow emotions to go in and out, and vulnerability is a key thing to like being authentic. And I don't think you're really authentic in these podcasts.
No way, bro. Anybody you know will tell you, or anybody who don't know will tell you.
Or maybe you're not even authentic in real life.
Bro, honestly, you might be getting somewhere.
No, I'm serious, bro. Like I feel like you're hiding something underneath, and or even like when you like you don't actually like engage conversations, or I don't know. Because I'm kind of lost here. I'm saying I don't know because I don't want to say shit that I'm sort of like brainstorming, but I also don't want to be wrong. So I also want to get your input, if you know what I mean.
Well, here's my thing. Why would I engage in a conversation if it's boring?
Well, just because it's boring doesn't mean it's boring to everyone else.
Why do you think I use so much comedy in class? It's because I don't care to converse on like why what's his name? Dante fucking thinks that those guys deserve to be in hell because I don't give a shit about Dante or his Inferno.
So you use comedy in our podcast because you don't give a shit about the podcast?
Oh, I can't believe you just deflected comedy to me.
What? All right.
How original.
But for real, like, I feel as see all this unoriginal bullshit that you've been saying right now. That's just your way.
All right, wait, but look. So you're saying I don't care about the podcast because I'm deflecting comedy, right?
No. That was kind of a joke.
But the times that it's not boring, I actually converse. But there's times where it is boring, and I make it more entertaining by using comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So, listen, me deflecting comedy in a boring situation is a mechanism used to be entertaining rather than boring. Instead of answering a question I don't feel like answering or talking about.
But I'm saying, well, I'm gonna start saying right now because I haven't said it, but I'm sort of trying to get at that. If you try to be more authentic and deflect with comedy less times, then we'd actually get to something where it actually has more value and more productive to the conversation, where other people could take more value from that instead of just a cheap ass laugh and entertainment.
Damn, that kind of hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, Zach. You know that. We can let it soak in here. We just have a staring contest. Do you think I'm wrong? First of all,
No, no, you're 100% right. I know what I'm doing though. That's the thing. Like I'm just a fucking clown. I'm a class clown, bro. I don't know what to say. I can't imagine not being a class clown and getting a little cheap laugh here and there.
yeah, but is that cheap laugh like validation for you,
Validation.
or is it like, is it a way for other people to like you in a way, or why do you do that? Is it
No,
just, or
it's
is
like
it for
kind of
you?
like
Is it for you to get by class instead of being so fucking bored?
kind of like an icebreaker. It's like I said. Like if it's boring, I'm going to use comedy.
Yeah, so it's more for you, just to get by class, or make it a little more fun.
Yeah, I guess.
Interesting.
I'm not going to sit there and talk about Inferno's asshole, bro. I'd rather fucking talk to the guy next to me and like make a joke because nobody gives a fuck about Dante. Fuck you, Dante. Don't give a shit about your Inferno. On some real shit, bro. Nobody cares about his Inferno. In math class, I sit there. Well, when we were in class, fucking look over and like make jokes with people, bro. Because like, honestly, Mr. Zanio, I don't really care about your asymptotes, bro. Be real. So like, sorry, I don't care about asymptotes or Dante's Inferno.
But it'd be lying to say that you only do that in class, right?
No, yeah, no, no.
Also,
But apply that same rule to all other conversations, bro. Anybody who knows me in real life knows that I use comedy to deflect either to defend myself. I deflect with comedy,
mm-hmm.
depending on who it is.
Which is
like,
extremely smart, because if I'm being vulnerable, right, and then you come with, or like I'm being vulnerable, and then I try to like say one of my vulnerabilities to you, and then you sort of like insult it, that hurts me. But then you're sort of defending yourself,
but also
right?
that
Not allowing that to sink in.
But also, just because I deflect with comedy doesn't mean you should get hurt by insults.
It doesn't mean it doesn't happen, bro. Like, I could act tough and all that shit, bro. But if someone's like, especially with the Tesla talks, like, we're gonna put that out there. But if I was like, no, I fucking hate that idea, right?
Uh-huh.
That would hurt. That would hurt a little bit, wouldn't it?
That would hurt me.
Yeah. And when I said I didn't want to do it, you said that hurt,
when
that hurt
somebody
my feelings,
tells me when somebody tells me their opinion, I don't care how they say it, it affects me the same way. So
nah, bro,
like,
it's
no, I'm going to tell you how it affects me, because everybody gets affected by opinions differently. When somebody, you can tell me you're a fat, ugly fuck, or you tell me I'm unattractive, I get the same fucking answer I get the same message from both of those.
dude, I fucking disagree to the mountaintops.
Okay, then that's you.
I think it's the way you say it. It's always the way you say it, right? If you're gonna critique somebody, you have to critique somebody, but then allow them to give them a piece to grow, or else you're just putting them down and putting negativity, and you're not doing anything to make.
This actually sounds like this sounds like a conversation we had like a few months ago, where it was actually vice versa opinions.
What do you mean?
You remember that one time I did that graphic design and you were like, dude, it's shit. And I was like, yeah, you don't critique people like that. That's not a critique. That's just you talking shit.
Oh, I mean, I'm not
now,
perfect,
listen,
bro.
if you would have
hey, but I'm not perfect. But I also
But if you would have approached that situation with
no, but you did say that to me. This was during the company, right? We were starting the Dropify business.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
I still
There was many reasons why that failed, though.
All right, but till this day, I still think that graphic design was pretty cool. It was just 4 pictures next to each other. So if you're calling it shit, you're pretty much just calling the food shit, pretty much, because it was just pictures of food.
And I didn't really give you any feedback, and that was my bad.
And not only that, but I told you multiple times for like literally like a few days after that we argued about it. Because you're like, oh, well, you should get better at it. Go search on YouTube videos or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but
I'm telling you right now, I was completely in the wrong in that situation.
Okay, so we're not even going to build off of that then. So.
No, I'm telling you right now, I was completely wrong in that situation. And I'm allowed to be wrong because we're human. You're laughing right now. Come on, crack a joke.
Bro, because this is genuinely funny to me. You said you want me to be authentic, bro. I'm genuinely laughing.
I'm not judging you right now, bro. I'm just smiling.
I'm genuinely laughing at
that. Nah, bro. It's because I want this podcast to be authentic, right?
I am being down to earth human right now.
But by authentic, I mean vulnerable, like me putting my vulnerabilities out there, which is something like it's hard to do, right? So it's not, you're not going to be like, I'm telling everyone that I'm lazy, I'm fat, and I need to exercise, right?
Okay.
Right? I'm putting all these things out there. And then if you come out there with negativity and putting people down, then that's sort of like, it desensitizes putting vulnerabilities out there, which could help everybody.
Okay. So if a vulnerability comes up, then I'll talk about it, but I'm not going to just randomly start spewing out vulnerabilities right now until that conversation comes.
But I think the vulnerabilities are what because other people are going through the same shit, bro. And that's what makes it like valuable to listen to. Like no one's going to listen to us about talking about like 6ix9ine shit and like how he's a snitch and shit like that. Like no one gives a shit about our opinions about that. But our opinions about going through life and what anxieties we feel, like that's valuable to another kid listening to the same thing about the same anxieties he has. About like starting a business, having ideas, them failing, starting a Dropify business with a partner, getting fights, and then failing. Like it's not the same thing as watching Ty Lopez in his Lamborghini. It's documenting the process of all the emotions that go through it. Because I think the hardest thing into starting a business is being emotionally stable, right? Or emotionally strong, right? So you can deal with all these emotions. If you can't deal with all these emotions and see where you've gone wrong dealing with these emotions, then you fundamentally lost the game of business.
Mm-hmm.
And the type of value, business value, right? The number one business value that I want to put out there is vulnerability, allowing yourself to be humble enough to look at where you failed, analyze that instead of ignoring it. Because there was a long time where you didn't want to. I'm not trying to call you out, right? But I'm going to call you out.
Stop being a little pussy and call me out.
All right, I'm going to call you out. But sort of you didn't want to talk about the business
wait,
on the podcast.
Before you continue that, side note,
mm-hmm.
Said you wanted me to talk about vulnerabilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, on this podcast so far, I've only called you out, and you never call me out because you care too much about my feelings. That's the difference. That's why I haven't talked about vulnerabilities, because I never get called out. I bet if you called me out more, then it would be an even playing field. But you play too much on defense rather than calling me back out.
Because I'm that type of person that puts my emotions out there, bro. That's just me.
I feel like you only put out your emotions when I put you on the spot.
No, bro, I'm that type of person. I'm extremely open. Like I open up really easily.
You're not gonna just randomly say something about laziness unless we're talking about the topic and I call you out on it, bro. You're not just that.
Yeah, true.
Not random, bro. I always call you out every single time. You have yet to call me out a single fucking time.
Yeah, maybe I care about people's emotions too much. No, I agree.
Why
I'm repeating what you said because I agree. Because I know I know how it affects other people.
You know
If you know
that
what I mean?
saying? You know that saying? Treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to let you know right now. I'm treating you the way I want to be treated. So why don't you reciprocate the same energy I'm giving you? Because
So
I like
that
being called
goes.
out.
See that
You
goes
know where I
vice
get that
versa.
from? I get that from my older brother, Joey. Shout out, Joey, if you're listening right now. I get
Yeah,
that from him.
but that goes vice versa. You don't know how other people like. I'm treating you a specific way that I want to be treated. So everyone has a way they want to be treated, but there's no. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't want to be treated the
Give
way.
me give me a sec to collect my thoughts because when I say I don't know, I'm collecting my thoughts apparently.
Because, yeah, what was I gonna say? There was this moment where somebody texted you, and we were on FaceTime, and that person texted you, and you were like being nice to them. Why? I mean, I know. Wait, no. Let me rephrase that. It's not. There's nothing wrong with being nice, but there's certain bitter people out there that me and you know, and they give you a certain energy, but then you're like extremely nice to them. Which I'm not saying being nice is wrong, but why don't you reciprocate that same energy? Because if you don't like certain people's energy, reciprocate it, then they'll be like, "Oh shit, now I know how it feels." Then they'll stop. Then you get the treatment that you want by giving them the treatment that they're giving you. It might make them like sit back and be like, "Oh,
I mean, I don't
how that
expect
feels."
kindness. I don't expect kindness from everybody.
It's kind of
Right?
like you get punched in the mouth. You're not gonna like not punch it back. At least, you're
Hold
not gonna
up.
like inflict some type of pain on the
I
person.
don't think I would.
Yeah,
Like
and
I don't think
they're gonna keep doing
I
it.
just fundamentally don't think I'm that type of person. Like if someone punches me in the face, I'd be like, "What the fuck, bro? What's wrong with you?" Like I wouldn't go instantly into punching them in the face. I'd be like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" Because obviously there's nothing wrong with me. And if anything I did affect that, I would know.
All right.
Right?
The point I'm getting to, dude, is you're saying I'm not being vulnerable. I don't see. It's like kind of like football. I don't see any openings to be vulnerable. So if you don't
Mm-hmm.
put me on the spot, I'm not going to be vulnerable, bro. I'm not in the middle of a conversation going to randomly be like,
So
yeah, man.
my point wasn't that you're not being like you. There's no opportunity of you being vulnerable. I think you use like comedy to deflect the like you being vulnerable. Like it's not actually you not being vulnerable or not finding that spot. I think you do have a lot of opportunities to be vulnerable. Like when we were talking about laziness, you could have went on to like your struggle with laziness, but instead you were like, "Oh, you fucking lazy, bro. What's the TikToks or shit like that?"
Because I
Like,
own it. Because I owned it last time. Did I not own it?
yeah, but you don't go into detail and actually talk about your struggle with it or like your emotions going through it. You just like say, you're like a know-it-all. Like you're just like, I know I'm self-aware. I know that I'm
Yeah, I
lazy.
am
I
self-aware.
know that I'm fat.
Lazy.
But you don't talk about like the struggle with it. You don't talk. You just like accept it in a sort of way.
Bro, I go to sleep at 4 a.m. You know what I do before I go to sleep?
What?
Jerk off. All right, I go to sleep. I wake up. I probably only get 5, 6 hours of sleep on a school night. And then I sleep through all my classes, bro. Except for like Spanish or psychology. But like I still kind of like slug through those, right?
Why do you do that?
Then I take a nap in between classes and after classes. And then, well, this was all last week. Then when I usually would go to work at 4, I would sleep, or I would play video games around that time. Sleep from like 6 to 9, wake up and like do it all over again. Stay up until 4 a.m. Like watching TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Maybe get some type of productivity done.
Are you recording this right now?
Yes, bro. We've been recording for like 10 fucking minutes.
Yeah, I'm just making sure because it's not showing up on my screen. But yeah,
Oh,
did you
you
ever
thought I
see?
was bullshitting, huh? You thought I was just gonna say it off of a recording, huh?
Nah, because that would suck. Because like I think we're having a productive conversation. If it wasn't being recording, it would be like a loss.
Yeah. So why should I talk about my laziness when everybody else is lazy too?
Because I don't.
This is
Because
the thing, bro.
this is fundamentally a business podcast, right? So we want to be not like everyone else, right? We want to do things that no one else wants to do. Like I have a quote on my wall that says, knowing, so this is about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Knowing what I know about running a company, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, right? It says, what's it called? Elon Musk. I think one of the Yes Theory episodes, it's like Elon Musk like tells a group of entrepreneurs and tells people, don't do it, right? It's like chewing glass and staring into abyss, right? This is like, it's not like roses and petals, like to get a 9-to-5 job, right? It's something where it's going to cause a lot of pain, a lot of stress, and a lot of like emotional struggle, right? So when I hear that, like, I want to do it more. But when you're inauthentic, when you're like emotions and stuff, it's not going to help pursuing that ultimate goal of running a company or starting a business.
Did Elon really say that to some kids?
He did say that to some kids.
Why does he still do it if it's like chewing glass and staring into an abyss?
Bro, it's because, I don't know, bro. And this one, I actually don't know. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Why do people run companies when they're stressed out?
I think there's more upside than downside when being an entrepreneur. And I think the lifestyle, having
starting a business, 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And this is another quote from the Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And out of the 1 out of 10 businesses that do succeed, 9 out of 10 of them fail in the first 5 years of being open.
Okay, so 1% of business, is that the right math? Like 1% of businesses are open after 5 years?
Yeah, let's say that.
Could you allocate a lot of that percentage to people who lack knowledge? Not because the process is, the process is shitty, but like also lack of knowledge, lack of.
I would probably say more just emotional stress and strength.
You know why I think Elon still does it? Because he has a passion for building cars, flamethrowers, and solar panels, and he wants to move the Earth to another stage.
Actually, you know why I think he does it? Because I just listened to the podcast with him and Joe Rogan, and he's like, I sold all my shit. Like, I sold all my houses and I sold all my cars. And he says, I do it because I want to die on Mars. And that's sort of like a North Star, like this ideal, this like goal he wants to achieve, right? Like he has his mind set to, and everything he does is to reach that goal. So I think fundamentally is you having a goal, right? This one goal that you want to do and achieve in life. And that's the thing that guides you through the pain, through the suffering. That's why if you have a business that you don't really care about, you're not going to be willing to take the pain of eating shit at that thing.
Yeah, like risk and reward.
Yeah. And you have to have something that, like, a true vision or something that really motivates you to get past all
that. Agreed.
But you have to have the emotional strength to get to, because a lot of people do have that North Star, but it gets cloudy, right?
I think if you have work ethic and passion, you can get through it. Like literally just those two alone, you can get through it, I think.
I don't think if you don't have the emotional strength, you cannot get through it. Because if you don't remember your goal 95% of the time. Like, that's only 5% of the time. Like, when you're dealing in the deepest of eating shit, right? And you're just like, and it gets cloudy, bro. You get depressed, or you become lazy, you become sleepy, and you don't do shit to like achieve your ultimate goal.
Because then that means that you actually,
because you're not really thinking, you're running away from what you want to achieve, and you're procrastinating. You'll do it like tomorrow, or during summer, or during September. Like, you're not actually putting steps forward into getting from that point A to that point B. And one thing I got from Aiden's interview, which is little chunks, right? It's never, we always do homework. I think this is the one really bad thing about school is we all do like assignments the night of, right? or like the night before. But I think a fundamental thing, and it trains you to have that discipline where you do everything the night before. The night before. Guess what that doesn't work at? It doesn't work with your ultimate goal. You can't do a fucking ultimate goal the night before. Right?
Well, you can't really relate it to the assignments because I don't know, man.
No, I think it puts you in the mindset, right? Since you're in kindergarten, to procrastinate your assignments. Especially if you are one of the persons that don't like school, it puts you in the mindset of procrastinating assignments, and then you find other ways with cheating and stuff, but that's like outside the system, right? But the procrastination part, not doing your assignments until the night before, fundamentally, like, it puts you in a bad habit of procrastination.
Uh-huh. Why would you procrastinate something you really, really want?
To 95%, 99% of people do it. You're telling me people having dreams and not achieving that and regretting it at 80 years old, that never happens?
So are you saying, wait, so you're saying,
Actually really wanting them is not enough to actually achieving it. One thing, everyone has goals, bro. Everyone has visions of what their life wants, they want their lives to be, but not everyone achieves it.
so wait, so what are you saying is the reason for that?
I'm saying they go through life procrastinating. They get a 9-to-5 job, or they go to school, and then they say, I'm going to do this in 10 years, or I'm going to do this in 5 years after I get this job. I'm going to start this company, right? And then, or like after college, I'm going to start this, and I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do this before, or like after I graduate, I'm going to start this, or I'm going to do this. Like, it's all promising in the future, right? And then once you get there and you don't actually do it, right, instead of actually doing it now.
Listen, that's fair enough, but what is the root of procrastination? Fear.
Thinking we have enough time, but we don't actually have enough time. So thinking we have time in the future, but then we're actually losing the time right now.
Mental abundance, fear. What else? Because I know fear is definitely a player.
I think fear would actually do the vice versa. It wouldn't make you procrastinate.
If you're scared,
it wouldn't make you procrastinate, because if you had the fear of that end goal not achieving it, then you'd actually use the chunks, like do it in chunks, like do it in little like sections.
I'm talking about fear in terms of failing at that goal.
Exactly. That'd make you want to do baby steps to actually achieve that goal.
No, people are just scared of failure all in all, bro. I don't think you understand. People really are scared of failure. Not everybody follows Gary Vee, bro, who preaches failure is okay. Not everybody follows these gurus who talk about failure being okay, and that you still have 50 years to make up that one failure. People fail once and then they're scared. That's what's wrong with the education system.
Failing is hold up. Fuck that. Failing hurts like a motherfucker.
Which is why people. This is why people are scared of it. So you're proving my point, bro.
I'm just saying, tough shit. Like, I don't think any person that says failing is fun or failing. I think failing could be a good thing, but you always see it in hindsight. One, you're failing and you're eating shit. You're not going to be like, oh, this is great. Like when we were starting the Shopify business, I wasn't like, Zach, I love that we're failing right now. Or maybe that's the wrong mindset to have. I'm like, I just spent $1,600 on ads and we only made $136 in revenue. Like, that's the type of shit, and that hurts, bro.
I think
throwing away like $1,400.
I personally know a lot of people who have goals, big goals, like people that you would not expect to have goals, and when you dig deep in, they're the ultimate reason they procrastinate, and that the root of that is because their fear. Because like, for example, I knew this kid. He's probably not listening right now. I don't know. I'm not gonna name him, but he wanted to start a YouTube channel like years back, and he was like, "Bro, I know you used to do like YouTube in like 8th grade. Like, you know, what videos should I make? Should I buy a camera? Should I do this? Do I need a MacBook? All this." I was like, "Bro, I literally loved it so much, and I didn't give a shit about anybody's opinion that I literally pulled out my iPhone 4 bro, I had an iPhone 4 when the iPhone 6 was out, 6S was out. I had an iPhone 4, bro. And I pulled that shit out and I fucking recorded what I wanted. And then I edited it on the phone in iMovie and I uploaded it just like that. And he was like talking about like getting a MacBook, a camera, all this equipment, and then like making everything high production value. So here's the
Yeah.
thing. I
See,
wasn't scared.
I would hesitate with that because
You didn't let me.
I came from that background too, where I wanted to become a YouTuber, but I also was in love with tech, right? So I would get all this gear, and especially playing around with this gear. And that's why I chose to go to LaSalle, because it gave me the access to a bunch more gear that I wouldn't have access to if I didn't buy, right? So LaSalle already had all this gear, and that allows you to learn how to use all this gear in a different setting, and that's how you become more versed, right? But spending that money initially is something different. And there's definitely two paths into going into YouTube, where some people start with a high quality, or at least enough quality, right? Some people start with shit quality, or not shit quality, but like lower quality.
I started with iPhone 4 quality. That's pretty shit. No, but what I'm saying is, why do I have some not terrible quality sitting in my computer right now? Right now, I could go open it. It's an open project right now in Premiere. It's way higher quality than what I uploaded 4 or 5 years ago in 8th grade. Way higher quality. It's shot on an iPhone X. Higher quality, better audio, better everything. But why am I so scared to open up the edit thing and like edit it and post it? Not that I think that's laziness. That example's laziness. But I'm saying, in this kid particularly, he really wanted to start. And I told him my 2 cents. I told him, you don't need all this equipment, bro. Just save your money and just do it.
Let me tell you what's on the front.
Why did he not start? He didn't start because he was scared of people's opinions, bro. And like he was like, actually, it's for him, in his opinion, it was worth it to suppress what he wanted to do or what he thought he wanted to try or whatever. He was willing to suppress it to maintain people's perspective on him.
And that's the problem with putting negativity out there, bro. If you put negativity out there, it demotivates people to follow their dreams.
Are you talking about me?
I'm subtweeting you right now. That's what I'm doing.
Bro, I'm telling you, he asked me, what camera did you use and how did you edit it? I told him I used everything on an iPhone 4. How is that being negative? Telling him that he doesn't.
No, I'm talking about me, bro. Like when I present an idea to you, and I'm not fully sure that I want to do it, right? But the fundamental thing I like to do is explore, right? Explore different things.
That's fine.
And when I present an idea and you throw it down like, oh my God, you're gonna do this, I bet you're not even passionate about that.
Now give an example of when I did that, and then we're gonna break it down, and I'm gonna explain why I do it.
So when I said I wanted to start the drop shipping shimmying canvas art, which was like sort of like a twist on what's it called, iconic, and then I wanted to pivot into my own photography, selling my own photography, because it would be easier to start that way, and then I could put quotes on it and pivot into an actual business.
Real quick. I didn't shit on your photography business. Here's what I did. I quit. I didn't shit on you at all, actually. I truly.
Hold up. This is completely false, because I remember you didn't shit on it, but you said you weren't passionate about it, right? Bro, when you fucking said that, it made me want to do it 10 times more. Which
fires don't last forever, bro. There was a fire under your ass for a little bit, bro.
I guess what, we all die.
In terms of Shimon, in terms of the original idea you had, where are you in terms of progress? In terms of
everything I'm doing right now is toward that point B.
Okay.
So I posted hold up. I posted an Instagram picture today of you, right? I'm building the Instagram portfolio to prove my photography background, right? I'm going to start posting the TikToks. I wrote 3 scripts for TikToks about ISO, aperture, and shutter speed on my notes app to make TikToks about. And I'm fundamentally questioning how I should do them. If I should do them in a trendy way, which way I should do them. And then I'm going to use all this photography background and build my Instagram, the TikTok, right? And I'm going to pivot those. I'm not going to pivot those. I'm going to leverage those audiences to push into my canvas art. So my photography is going to be on the canvas art, on the canvases that I sell. And then I'm going to throw quotes on there.
In
to
Spanish.
compete in Spanish, English, and French. And they're going to be, what makes it unique is it's in different languages and it's my fucking photography. No one else can take pictures that are fundamentally mine, right? So if I build a rapport, a sort of like, what do you call it? Ethos, sort of authority around my photography, and people actually fuck with my photography, then they're going to want to buy this sort of canvas art to hang up on their walls.
All right. So I have so many things to, don't cut me off for a while, bro, because I have to address so many things you just said. First, I never shit on you in the way that you're explaining it, because when I did quote unquote shit on you, I questioned you. I questioned so many different things about what you were doing. Meaning, how are you going to go about it? What's the reason? What's your why? Are you sure you want to do it? You got offended by those questions. That's not my problem. Moving on from there. The original business idea you talked about wasn't even what you're explaining right now. Am I right or wrong? Because I believe I'm right. You never talked about like putting your photography canvases and selling them, bro. You never.
So the fundamental fact is the idea was in its infancy, right? It wasn't like it was
again, I couldn't hear you.
It's in its infancy, like it's still a baby, right? The idea grows. It's not like you have an idea and you're gonna pursue it 100%, right? I'm thinking my point B is to get to the iconic level, right? I can't start a Dropify store. If I start a Dropify store right tomorrow and start putting quotes on there, what differentiates me? And I put it in different languages, right? What differentiates me? I'm gonna have to spend maybe $30,000 in advertising to even compete with iconic, right? So what's the way I can do it from reaching my level to reaching the level of iconic and all that? That's building my personal brand, right? Which is of my photography, and leveraging that to build that business.
All right. So now, are you building Shamin because you want to compete with iconic and you want to be huge and make a shit ton of money and just be big? Or are you doing it because you truly want people to see your photography and actually enjoy what you're producing? Do you actually want to make an impact, or do you just want to be as big as iconic just to be like, oh, we're competing with iconic? Because when you were telling me, when you were being delusional at that stage, which you could say you're not, dude, but I think you were. Wait, hold up. Let me finish this, bro.
Dude,
I let you finish yours. Let me finish mine.
I fucking hate the word delusional, bro.
You were being delusional in terms of numbers, bro. You were like, I'm going to compete with iconic. I send you a screenshot of this guy who does.
Dude, this was an idea, right?
Bro,
this was an idea, and I got excited.
But that's what troubles me, bro, is that when I saw that excitement in your eyes, it reminded me of...
You saw the Dropify business we started last time.
Yes. I saw actually...
But that's your fearing what we started last time. Why does it have to affect me starting this new business?
I didn't fear...
That's just me being spontaneous and me always jumping...
You have not let me get a single point across yet, bro. You have not let me get a single point across.
My bad.
When I saw that excitement in your eyes, mixed with you saying, I'm going to do more than $500,000 in sales in a few years, that automatically scared the shit out of me.
And you said, what'd you say? Well, how'd you react?
I forget what I texted you back, but I remember.
You're delusional.
That is delusional.
That shit made me want to do it even more.
Good for you. I lit a fire under your ass. That's good for you, Hector. But the point is...
No, but you understand when you say out of fear, right, out of your own fear that you shouldn't start this, that's unproductive, right? Maybe if I find out...
You cut me off 10,000 times in a row and I haven't gotten to a single point again.
I disagree. I think you've gotten to many points. I think you said that I was delusional, right? in starting this.
You didn't
And
let
then
me.
you said
You didn't let me understand my full point.
you said I didn't want to start this actual shamin business, that I was going to do a photography business, and you pivoted the idea. That's what you said. And then
Here's my overall. Let me close off my overall idea, and then you explain yourself or whatever you want to do. Please let me finish because I know you're gonna want to interrupt me a million times again.
All right, go ahead.
Me and you started a drop shipping business last.
Yes, sir.
Me and you both had this look in our eyes where we're like, oh man, this is fucking great, bro. I can't wait, bro. We literally thought we were gonna like randomly get 1,000 in sales the first 24 hours.
Dude, that look in our eyes was greed.
That's my point exactly. That's what I saw in your eyes. And in the first stage, I don't say it anymore because you haven't talked about it. In the first stage, you're like, dude, I'm gonna do over 500,000 in sales per month in a few years. Just watch me. As if you have to prove yourself, which I don't give a fuck. Good for you, bro. Chase it. But like also, when you said that scared the fuck out of me. Not in the sense that I'm scared of doing e-commerce or building a business. That scared the fuck out of me because you're like, to me, it looked like you were delusional. Because why are you thinking about money anyway? Like, why is that even
initially, dude, that's what I was thinking, but not anymore. And greed has a fundamental thing of motivating people to start something. And it's that initial spark into me actually wanting to pursue this, and then finding greed was the spark that's starting the point A. Point B is the shamin business, the idea I had. And point B gets refined and sort of like changed, right? But it still stays the point B. And those steps can go zigzags everywhere where it doesn't look like the original business. But if I still have point B in my trajectory and I want to achieve that, like, then it doesn't really fucking matter. If greed is what started it, right? Because if my drive to still fucking achieve that is still going strong, then I still want to do it. It doesn't matter if I was motivated by greed. Guess what? The whole world's fucking motivated by greed. That's why people go work 9-to-5 jobs for, 40 hours a week, working $15 an hour, $16 an hour. Because they need money to buy more shit. Well, I'm here selling my shit, bro. I think I presented my idea at its infancy, and maybe you say I was delusional. Maybe I was a little bit motivated by greed, but
you were 100% motivated by greed.
I don't think I was 100% motivated by greed. I was more. I could say greed went into that. The idea of starting a company and actually starting something and building something, especially during this time in quarantine. And you said something else. You're just starting this because you're bored. And that shit fucking hurt. Because I am bored, but I also want to do shit that will help me in the rest of my life. I don't want to sit here playing video games and sleeping all the fucking time.
That's cool. But so, like, again, your original idea was, what I got from that is real quick, let me get this across. Your original idea, at least what it seemed to me, was that you wanted to directly compete with Iconic, which they sell motivational quotes and cool like designs on canvas. You wanted to do that in a different language, right? In different languages.
Yep.
That was your overall plan. That did not sound like a plan that you wanted to pursue. And then you added the level of greed.
So now, when you said, hold on.
Now you're at a whole different point where you're like, I'm taking pictures and then putting motivational quotes. And then that's a whole different business, dude. You're selling photography now. You're selling art in a different form. Now this is Iconic anymore.
This is my journal. This is how I came up with Iconic. Fundamentally. Ready? Or my idea of competing with Iconic. So these are my skill sets, right? I wrote down my skill sets and what level I am at them, right? I said photography, I'm probably best out of all my skill sets. Filmmaking, I'm probably 3 out of 5. Graphic design, I'm at about 3 out of 5. information technology, which is just using the computer. I'm not at a 5 because I can't build apps and stuff, but I am at a 4 where I can understand and use app building software to build stuff, right? I have psychology in business. I understand some business from working with my dad, dealing with you, starting that business, and doing other things, right? Carpentry, which that doesn't make sense, but general construction is other things. Knowledge on the restaurant business is another thing, and real estate's another thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 out of 5 knowledge. But these are sort of the skills I had. And I'm like, what can I leverage these skills during quarantine to build something that would help me during quarantine, or like I could build something during quarantine, or build something right now during college that I could do and put hours in chunks by chunks to build this bigger thing. And I came out with Shamin, right? And you didn't see the process from this, right? From this perspective of me using my skill sets and what I could use. So I legit wrote over here, what could I do? And then I realized I really wanted, and that was the time where I really wanted one of the iconic posters, right? I was like, I don't know why, but I had this urge from over multiple days. I really wanted a fucking iconic poster. And then I went down the path of saying, why the fuck would I buy a $90 poster, right? If I could take the picture myself, put the quote on it myself, and make it for $10 on Shopify and pay for it, right? And ship it to my house and hang it up. And that was the initial idea. And these are all things I could do right now. And instead, I put these shitty ass papers right here. Instead of spending my money, I put these shitty ass papers on my wall with quotes on them. Just ripped out papers, and I copied that from EOL.
Bro, that's honestly 10 times better than iconic. I'm not even gonna lie.
Because then I have what's it called? I have the quotes that personally impact me, and they're up there. But I don't have to buy a $90 poster, right? I think this iconic thing is a nice thing for people that want to pose as entrepreneurs. But some entrepreneurs do have them, but a lot of their market base is people that pose as entrepreneurs. And I probably wanted to feel part of that group as an entrepreneur, so I wanted to buy one. And now I'm sort of going to compete with that business, and I'm going to use different languages, but I'm going to sell my art and make my perspective known. And I'm going to use that to leverage my point of view to other people. Same thing I'm doing with this podcast. My point of view is being spouted out through this podcast and shared with other people. Mm-hmm. There's no difference in that, and that's why I'm doing this podcast.
Uh-huh. I'm glad you cleared that off the table.
So what do you think? Do you think greed motivated me and is the only thing that motivated me?
Well, the greed led you to a passion. Had you started from a place of passion, like, dude, I really love photography, but I'm going to put a twist in my photography. I'm going to put it on canvas, put different language quotes on them, and put them on my website, regardless of who buys.
Dude.
Regardless of who buys.
I'm going to tell you something. That's probably going to – hold up. I'm going to tell you something.
You should do something that motivates people, bro. Fuck the money.
I don't know if I'm passionate about photography.
Bro, how'd you just lead us up to all that shit and now you're saying
hold up. Listen to me. I don't know. It's a new thing and I'm learning it.
Bro,
I have this talent, but I don't know if I'm passionate about it. But I want to leverage that talent. I said I don't know. I didn't say I'm not passionate about it.
By the way, it's not a talent, it's a skill, because you don't just wake up with photography skills somehow. It's like something you build up over years of like doing it. So it's a skill, not a talent. Right? Am I wrong or right?
No, because I think I've put in less hours and I'm ahead of many people. And it's not like I'm not.
You're just more efficient than them. That doesn't mean you have a natural talent. There's certain
and I'm excited when I take photography during it, right? I don't like editing and all that shit, but fundamentally when I'm taking pictures and seeing the results, I do like that. But I don't know if I'm passionate about pursuing it as a long-term career. And that's why I want to build this company, because I do like building shit, which is the fundamental part of what I'm passionate about, exploring and building shit.
Okay.
So maybe this is a way of turning photography into a passion. But right now, I don't know.
Okay.
And that's my vulnerability out there.
Damn. Kind of just like double yacked me. I ain't gonna lie. You went from, yeah, man, I was greedy like 2 weeks ago.
No, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I was started with greed.
Okay.
It wasn't the sole motivation.
You let me and the audience up this mountain where you're saying greed is what got you started, but then it led into something you thought you wanted to start, but now you're saying you don't even know if you have a passion for photography.
Bro, if life were that fucking simple, then everyone would fucking start a company that would be millions of dollars. But it's not. Life goes into fucking ups and downs and sideways and upside and just up mountains and then jumps off cliffs, and you have a hang glider for some reason, so you glide down it. Like, life is so fucking complicated, and the way you arrive to a point is so immensely complicated and clouded and confused that it doesn't matter. And it just, people see point B, and what we started this podcast of being is a documentation, right? This is, what's it called? The process. And people have to know that it doesn't go from point A straight line to point B. It goes up, down, sideways, and reverse sometimes.
By the way, I want to let the people know I'm in this for the long run. I ain't here for the money, even though my backdrop is money. I'm here because I want to talk about that, because I'm doing this podcast, obviously not for money. I have not seen, actually, I'm negative personally, $35 and a few hours of work. I'm negative in this right now. And why? Because I don't fully feel like I'm negative, actually, because I feel like I'm getting some speaking skills out of this. I'm getting conversation skills out of this. I'm getting the skill that you're able to talk to the camera knowing that it's going to go up on the internet. I'm getting the opportunity to talk to somebody, record it, and then post it online. There's so many things I'm getting out of this. So I just want to say I'm not in this for the money. I wasn't from the beginning.
And we
like talking.
To be honest, something that also like confirms your point, we were having conversations like this before that, right? We were having like hour conversations. Yeah, and then not even recording it. And then once we started recording it, we actually stopped doing it.
Not right now.
But we did stop doing it for like a week.
Uh-huh.
Get off your phone.
Because sometimes I'm not on my phone, bro. I'm on my laptop. No, but for real, sometimes things are just meant to be in a certain setting. I don't know, man. It just feels like, well, it's not anymore, bro, because the last 3 we shot so far were like real fluid. I think it was just the first few.
All right. So I'm gonna throw something out there, and I'm gonna be extremely vulnerable with you. And it might rub you the wrong way.
It's so random, bro. Don't rub me the wrong way, bro. You better not.
Shut up, bro.
Okay.
But I was contemplating quitting the podcast on my walk today.
Before we even started.
No, today, right?
Damn.
But I never said I was going to do it. I thought about it. The reason I thought about it is because so much of I'm too nice, so I let other people push their ideas for the podcast, right? And they're sort of like their agendas. So I basically just troll along like an employee doing the shit for them.
Wait, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about you right now, bro.
Why are you saying they?
But like it applies to everything else, because I also made a short film with Aiden, right? And it was fundamentally his idea from the beginning. He started that, he wrote the script, and it was fundamentally his idea. When I put ideas out there, it was really up to him to implement them or not, right? Okay. It doesn't matter, in my opinion. But this is something usually what happens, and I see what happens with me, is I sort of, when I start something, I'm kind of really nice. And sort of what I think it became is this is sort of, it became more for you. Like I was editing, especially when I was editing the clips, not that clip, but like when I was like teaching you how to do that. And like, I mean, it's nothing wrong, right? But like, I started helping you more than actually enjoying doing this podcast. And then I'd put my vulnerabilities on there, and then you'd shit on them. And then I'd be like, fuck this dude.
All right, wait. With the editing thing, with you helping me learn how to edit,
No, I'm down with to do that, right?
fundamentally,
So like,
that was me trying to learn how to do it, so it takes workload off of you. So that's
and
like a
then
short-term thing where you have to put in some time to help me, and like
I understand that, but fundamentally, it felt like more your podcast than mine, right?
because I was trying
And
to help,
no,
or from the get-go.
from the get go, because like I wanted to do the podcast like during that week that you didn't text at all, but like I sat there and just being like, okay, I'm gonna wait till this kid texts me, and then I wanted to call it the Entrepreneur, right? But then I sort of like let you have the business Entree. Like I always give concessions to you in a sort of way instead of pushing for my way.
We got your schedule.
We did get my schedule, but that sucked.
You know, by the way, I was
That
gonna
sucked.
keep
That
pushing
sucked.
that.
That was in the back. That was in the back of my mind because I'm telling you, that was in the back of my mind the whole entire time when I was pushing for that schedule. I knew if I gave this up and if I lost this argument for doing it 3 days instead of 4 days, that it was like at that point it was like all fucking, like it's all fucking done. Like you fucking ran the show instead of me.
Which is why I let you get that, by the way. But the thing
No,
is,
but like I'm putting that out there because like I thought about like quitting, but not even just quitting. I was thinking of starting my own podcast, and that's when you called me, and I was like, I think I'm doing when you proposed the Tesla talks, right? And that pissed me off more because I know you were doing it just for you to
how's it for
leverage
me?
the Tesla talks.
Explain how
Is it-
any of this is for me.
That's just you trying to make YouTube content, bro. That's something you want to do. That's not something I want to personally pursue, right? With you.
Like you don't want to do the podcast then? Is this where we
I
break up?
do want to do the podcast, but the fundamental fact is I was watching a Yes Theory episode. And I don't know, it was pure chance of God that I was watching it. It was like a 3-year-old episode where they come into the bathroom and they stay 24 hours in this room with the three dudes, Amar, Matt, and Thomas. They spent 2 hours talking about the vision of Yes Theory, right? Clarifying the ideas, writing a mission statement, writing the idea for the podcast or writing the idea for the YouTube channel. My bad. And they sat there and brainstormed the ideas. So they had a common vision, right? The fundamental fact is, starting this podcast, we had 2 different visions, and we have to set the visions in. It's either your vision works or my vision works, or we come here and talk about it, what we want to do, the authenticity, vulnerability thing, and we're still dealing with right now, and what we want it to become, and what we want to do with this podcast, and we should write it down. And that's like the fucking 10 commandments of this podcast.
You remember the original proposition was during this quarantine, you and I were like on FaceTime way too much, bro. Like no homo, but like also homo. And I was like, does it hurt to even just record it and just upload it? And then like you can't say that like originally you were like only doing it to be nice, because realistically, even if we quote unquote quit the podcast, we're still gonna FaceTime call. Even if it's after like a month of like not talking, eventually that was gonna happen again, bro.
Yeah.
So like,
I don't know.
I'm confused on that right there, because you knew eventually we were gonna have to like, it's gonna be awkward. Just like, bro, we could just be recording this right now. Why are you being so weird?
The idea is we have to come to a common idea of what this podcast should be, so we both become motivated to work into promoting this. And that's why I still haven't promoted it on my Instagram.
So the promotion part is what you don't want to do.
No, I wasn't doing any promotion because I still wasn't proud of the podcast we had. And I think this is the first
Quality
episode
or
I'm at. Hold up.
quality of the
I think
content
this.
or accuracy?
I think this is the first episode I'm actually going to promote because I'm actually proud of this episode because I think we both came to a common understanding. We both like conceded something.
You know why? Because you're finally fucking talking, bro.
Uh,
Oh, what? Now you're getting offended?
huh?
Now you're getting offended already?
No, you're just insulting. I'm just kidding.
Bruh.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
I was really
I'm using comedy to deflect what I actually feel.
Nah, bro, that's not cool. Fucking hypocrite.
No.
Let's be honest though, I'm looking at our episodes right now. All of them pretty much, it's me like leading everything. Which by the way is tiring and not as entertaining, I'd say. I'm not that entertaining to lead for a fucking hour.
Well, when I'm not calling you on your shit and you're basically just judging me and calling me on my shit, it's basically a criticize Hector 24/7. So it's basically you're talking about me the whole entire time. But now this is the first episode where I just like go a full episode of just me calling you on your shit.
You're not
but
calling
being
me. You haven't called me on shit. The only thing you called me on was laziness, bro.
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability, bro. The vulnerability of laziness, which everybody has right now. Bro,
your inability to be vulnerable.
Bro, before quarantine, I was the least lazy out of everybody, bro. I feel like, in my opinion. I feel like I worked fucking hardest in the whole school.
That shit's in the past.
That's fine. I'm glad that I was the hardest worker at the time.
Do you know the people that also think about their achievements in the past?
Hitler?
People that peaked and then they're 80 and they think about the things they did in the past, right? That they accomplished and they're so proud of. They're not going to have a life. They don't have a life to think about. There's that one Casey Neistat video where, what's it called? When you're younger, you sort of think of your future more, and you should be thinking of like your future and your limitless potentials. And then as you get older, you start looking at your past and your accomplishments. Once you get to 80, you look at all your accomplishments, bro. If you're wasting your time right now thinking about your accomplishments, about running every day for a month in January and working your ass off, but you're not doing it now, then why the fuck does that matter? It's all about the consistency of doing it throughout life.
That is true. You make a good point, sir.
I need water.
Go get your water, doggy. All right, Brack from our water break.
Yes, sir, bro. I was thirsty as balls. All right, ready? So this is what I was thinking about, like during this, because like I saw this on Instagram and I really fucked with it. It was posted by Valuetainment, and this one applies to me too. But everyone buys books, right? If you ever read them, dude, I have more books than I've fucking read, right? And that scares the shit out of me because I plan to read those books, but I procrastinate reading those books. Everyone wants growth. Few accept the pain. This sort of applies, I think, to you, and let me know if I'm wrong, but sort of your deflection to defend against yourself, right? But you're actually using offense as a defense, but your offense is completely deflecting all the pain you can receive from any insult, right, or any critique. So it's not allowing you to feel those emotions that when you get insulted, it hurts, right? Instead of pushing those and feel those emotions and grow from them.
You shouldn't let insults control you.
You shouldn't let insults control you, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't take them in, right? Especially if they're criticisms.
Here.
We're all humans, bro. Especially the pain of ignoring the failure that we had with the Shopify store and like you not wanting to talk about that. Especially if you go back and listen to Eola's podcast, shout out Eola's podcast. I think you had like a sort of hesitation to talk about the failure.
All right.
And then you had to what's it called? give a disclaimer beforehand saying that everyone's too scared about sharing their failures, but we're going to actually do this and share our failures. But I think you were talking about yourself there.
All right. The meaning of insult: speak to or treat with disrespect or scornful abuse. There's a fine line between an insult and a critique. Do I let people give their critique? All the time. Do I let people insult? Never. I will never let you I would never let somebody make a disrespectful comment and let it get to me. Calling me fat is not going to get to me. Calling me stupid is not going to get to me.
Hey,
I suck.
maybe that one person calling you fat, if you feel that pain, it would allow you to accept. If you accept that pain, it would then make you want to lose that weight instead of deflecting it. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to like judge you and calling you fat, but like I'm saying this from personal.
Bro, didn't you just hear what I just said? I don't let insults get to me, such as being called fat, lazy, just like comments like that. That's considered insults. I don't let those shits get to me, which is why I deflect them with comedy. Now, if you're gonna say, bro, as a friend, yeah, it's fun to be lazy during this quarantine, but like, bro, you got to get your ass off the couch at least. If you're not gonna fix your diet, at least get off the couch, because bro, you don't want to be sitting there at 55 years old with diabetes, or like health problem.
I got you.
So that's something you would call critique / like, you know what I mean? Intention, like it says right there, intention.
Yeah. So I'm gonna finish reading this.
So like me insulting you.
I got you. I got what you understand.
But did you get me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, you better have. Pause.
Everyone wants to be happier. Few ever change, right? This is the idea of people have those goals, right? People have those goals in the future, but they don't ever put the process into building those steps and actually doing the steps in little chunks throughout their life to reach that level. People want to reach that level of happiness, but few ever actually put the steps into getting there, right? Intention is nothing without action, right?
Yeah.
If I intended to start the company, but I didn't do anything, then that's nothing, right? But action is nothing without intention. If I started putting this, all these actions and building a Shopify store, but the intention is just to make money, and I don't really give a shit about that intention, and it's not really there, then the action doesn't really fucking matter because I'm just doing it to do it, right? Same with this podcast. If I'm doing this action of doing the clips and promoting the clips to get more viewers, but I actually don't give a shit about the goal of the podcast, the intention, in quotes, then why does it matter and why am I doing this podcast? Therefore, me contemplating quitting, right? Progress happens when your intentions and actions become the same thing. Fundamentally, when I was talking about the yes theory thing, when your intentions and actions, your goals, right, become like your North Star, and actions you're taking to reach that North Star become the same thing, is when fundamentally you become an unstoppable force and a sort of driven force to get to that point B. And you start at point A. Were you listening? I heard you playing Fortnite there.
What's your conclusion?
That's my conclusion, bro. Out of this shit, bro, I think and we knew it from the beginning when starting this podcast, there's going to be some quirks we have to work out because we just started it out of the blue. And we're going to get more skilled in talking. And especially in the first couple episodes, maybe you dominated the podcast, where we have to allow each other, because I think I dominated this podcast a little bit, but I think we have to find a balance between me and you both talking instead of one person trying to dominate a podcast. Are you recording right now? My bad. Yeah. It doesn't show up on my iPhone anymore. It shows up on the computer though.
I got you 100%. My intention for this podcast is to share my thoughts, because for anybody who knows me out there personally, you know I just love giving you my fucking 2 cents and my thoughts. So what better to just, instead of bothering people, just upload it online. Second, I want, for anything valuable that we ever put out there, I want it to reach, if it can reach at least one person in our position, or if I make, funny jokes or whatever, in any type of value, if we can value somebody through laughter or through like legitimate value in terms of business or like just talking about our life. So that's my intention. Plus, I just, on a selfish level, I want to get better at talking and carrying conversation.
And I think that we both have two different ideas of this podcast, and we might have to sit down and actually write out what we want to achieve. And maybe some, like, it's like a Venn diagram, right? Some of our ideas are going to have to differ, and some of our ideas are going to be the same on this podcast. And we have to see where we come together on these couple ideas and make that the North Star of this podcast in a sort of way. Make that the point B for this podcast, where we want this podcast to go.
I thought we already established that though.
But we haven't written it down, and that's something we'll do off camera, is just writing down what we want to achieve, like a sort of like idea. Because if we make a shitty episode, to be honest, like, it becomes demotivating. But if we have that one sort of thing, and it's not going to be, it's Hector and Zach Zawagi's podcast for a reason. It's not your podcast only, and it's not my podcast only.
Okay.
It's our podcast.
So we already have that one intention that we share, which is, I already know I don't care about money from this podcast whatsoever. I don't care about monetization, but I want people to get value out of listening to us. Then you say that, so that's already one thing that we share.
So let's dissect that. So if this podcast in a couple of years becomes like maybe a 2,000 viewer or a 3,000 viewer a week, right? Would you monetize if we had the ability, if like a brand reached out to monetize it, would you?
It depends what level we're on and the uptrend.
So you're not completely opposed to
it? No, not completely, but also, dude,
I don't.
Corona.
Because I remember initially starting this podcast, I was a little bit motivated by greed, but I think at this point, seeing my like vision, my like thing of like starting this company in the next 2 to 3 years of the one canvas art company, like, this is just another branch of it. So if this doesn't monetize or not, and that's not to be demeaning to this podcast, bro.
Bro,
this fits into what?
That's like Mike Malek from Impulsive only being on there to grow his YouTube channel. But that's not what he does. He brings value to the podcast. Actually, in my opinion, more than like anybody else on the podcast.
That doesn't mean he doesn't bring that leverage that audience from Impulsive.
He doesn't
by sharing
get the podcast
by expressing the value in that one in Impulsive to bring people from Impulsive to his YouTube channel. And then from there, using Impulsive and his YouTube channel to sell his book.
But there's a difference between looking at it as a branch and like a little beneficiary of what your main thing is, and it actually being your like one of your main things and its own thing. Can you hear me? So there's a difference between having this podcast as a little beneficiary branch to your major brand versus actually providing value and looking at it as its own thing, because it is a partnered one. So like at the end of the day, if you do want to promote your own shit, there's gonna have to be a binding agreement, bro. You can't just like, I mean, like, yeah, you can just like mention it and shit, but like,
Nah, bro. I'm not. I'm
stuff
not
more.
saying like. I'm not saying before every episode promoting that shit. I'm just saying by nature of me being here and providing value on here, that anywhere else where I'm providing value, that people can find me anywhere else, even if I don't mention it. Right? It's it's not a matter, and I think the canvas art thing will be value. Right? I don't think I'm gonna sell art just to just so people can like wipe their or like that's even value. People wiping their ass with toilet paper because that's apparently valuable. That is valuable. But
Apparently,
no, it is. It is valuable
not
for
to me,
people to
bro.
wipe
I don't wipe my ass.
run that toilet. Okay, never mind. But maybe I phrased it the wrong way, and I think that was the fundamental issue. Like it's not like I because it didn't work like that. I didn't start this podcast to do the business, right? But ignoring the fact that this could help the business is also just me lying to myself.
Uh-huh. Well, in terms of like monetization, I'm open to that, but like I understand, even if that does happen down the road, it's not happening anytime soon. And I'm
And
open to
I'm
the
fine with
idea,
that.
pause. But I'm open to the idea of patience. So I don't mind waiting. I just want to have a platform to speak my mind, share my thoughts, you know, learn. And it doesn't hurt because we're already always talking on the phone anyway. So,
No homo.
bro, why you always gotta make shit homo, bro?
No, bro, I'm just repeating what you said. You said no homo last time. I'm just trying to cover your bases.
Which makes
I'm
it.
trying to be a good
I,
friend,
I
man.
never say no homo. I always say pause.
Dude, rewind this fucking podcast because you said it in this podcast. You lying piece of shit.
Nope, I said pause. I didn't say no homo. Replay.
I'm gonna revisit one of the ideas of what's it called? Of me being nice because we talked about it for a little bit, and I want to revisit that idea because EOL. I spoke to EOL, and EOL says I'm too nice. Where and when I listen to Gary, he says like being nice is always like a good thing, right?
To an extent, depends on what you're. Yeah,
But there's a difference between being nice and being like a doormat and allowing people just to, like walk all over you. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because like I'm incredibly nice to people, but if I sacrifice my own ideals just so I like my own feelings and just to like it's not beneficial in the end because I'm just dedicating all my time to this, but it's really like I'm sacrificing everything I wanted to do. Like even like maybe like I see it in a lot of things.
So there's upside
Like
on
just
both sides, bro. There's the upside where you may not want to do certain things for certain people because you're making a sacrifice to do it, but there might be an indirect correlation that massively helps you in the future, like in a way that you would have never thought. So that doesn't mean completely stop helping people. That means, or doesn't that doesn't mean always help people no matter what. That means create boundaries. Because although now you're sacrificing too much, but also you don't want to sacrifice the fact that there's an indirect correlation with you being nice to people and like helping people.
yeah, and like helping people and being nice to people and helping build their own things, right? Instead of actually starting the things I want to start.
By
You
the
know
way,
what I
we
mean?
have a lot of extra time, so I don't know, man. You could always do both.
Yeah, but you have a lot of extra time,
but you don't have the same brain capacity to deal with all those things. I remember watching, and I keep referencing the things because that's how I think. I think like by references. And Alex Becker had this one thing where if you're devoting your time into 10 different things, right? Then that energy is only going to be spent 10% in each thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have the more things you have and you commit less, like you're not gonna put enough energy to make that shit succeed, right? So you have to pick a couple things that you want to work at and you want to achieve, and then dedicate 60 or more percent to that one thing, right? And then the less, so right now, school is 30%. This podcast is about, I'm going to be honest, like we recorded 2 hours, like one day.
More.
It's not really that much energy into putting it. More energy is put into actually editing the podcast and making the clips and actually recording the podcast.
Uh-huh.
So this is not really a big thing that's taking my energy away. But now if I had the Tesla talks you were talking about, the what's it called? The YouTube channel. I want to start the TikTok, the Shamin, and the company, like the cannabis business. And then I want to do photography and I want to do real estate. And all these things are going to be feeding and taking away from like my energy, right? So like, sure, we have a lot of time, but you only have enough energy to put into a couple of things. You can't, even if you have all the time in the world, unless you're Elon Musk, you can't put your time into fucking 10 companies, right? Not even Elon Musk can do that, bro. If Elon Musk can't even do that, like Elon Musk he says he puts 50% of his time into SpaceX, 45% of his time into Tesla, and 5% of his time, or 5% of his time to Neuralink. And then like the boring companies, like 1% or less than 1%.
Uh-huh.
The best entrepreneur in the world can't even put his time into all these different things. What makes you think someone starting out can put their time into all these things?
Uh-huh.
And their energy, because having time and energy is a different thing.
Like I said, just it never hurts to like lend a helping hand to people, but also like chase your shit. But I completely disagree with what EOL is saying, because like don't always be selfish. There's a time and place for everything.
And I totally agree.
I'm sure if you were actually devoted to your shit and people saw that in you, when they would stop asking you for shit. Or if you just put down offers, people would take you more seriously and value you more and invite you to projects that actually matter to them or offer you something in return.
Yeah.
So
Because like,
that you need to draw a fine line there and make boundaries.
let me give you more examples, because I think that helps with like people thinking, like especially like sports photography. Like I did that. Maybe that's why I'm confused, and I'm thinking just laterally. Maybe that's why I'm confused about passion, because I was taking pictures and I love taking pictures for people, but then I realized I was doing more for like the validation of other people, like liking those images, like sending those images and tagging me in those images and stuff, than actually taking those pictures. And then it sort of became empty. Instead of pursuing photography, it became sort of a thing where I was sort of doing it for popularity instead of actually doing it for photography.
Uh-huh.
And I was doing that for other people. So people would ask me to come to the games, right, and promote their sort of games and their sort of like sports team, right? Just to take pictures for their sports team so they can post on Instagram and tell everyone how good of an athlete they are, right? Instead of me taking that photography business and leveraging it to an actual business, and I was doing it for free, bro, right? which is not a bad thing if I would have spin it. If all I do is jab, 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 but never throw that right hook, I mean, like, is there a time and place to throw that right hook instead of just jabbing all the
I
time?
feel like you're so young in this business that I don't think there's a right hook yet. Like in everything you do, I think it's still jab, 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 bro. And let me throw an example out there as well, because Mike Malak from Impulsive, he's a PR agent for Logan Paul in the Maverick House, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
All he would do is build relationships. It's all about the other person. Like he always had like the back of the head, like in the back of his mind, this person is like a really good connection, but like he kind of wired himself to attack and not in a predator type of way. I'm talking about making connections. And
This
it
is also
paid off.
true. Let me add like a little. I'm gonna let you continue, but I'm gonna add a little thing to that. He also had a salary, right? So if he was working for Logan Paul or that beanbag company, he was still working for somebody, right? He was still getting paid. It's not like he wasn't getting paid. And I just feel like, I don't know. Like, I don't mind getting paid.
Your parents.
I mind that it's just like, I want to pursue stuff that I want to do, but I don't want to sacrifice the stuff I want to do stuff for other people. Like, sure, I love doing stuff for other people. It's not like I don't love doing stuff. If not, I wouldn't do it. But I don't want that to get in the way of me wanting what I want to pursue. You know what I mean?
Like I said, bro, boundaries.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you.
But here's the perspective to look at it.
I've had the same conversation with Yoel, right? And he's like, you got to be more selfish, and you got to be like, that's what he says to me. And shout out to Yoel. And he says you got to be more selfish. And he said Machiavellian is like his like sort of is like his guy that he reads about being selfish. But I'm always my inner side. I'm just like, bro, I cannot do that. Like, I cannot just be 100% selfish. But I don't think being 100% any which way is not helping me. So I think exactly what you said at boundaries is what I need.
There's different routes to be on top of the world. You could, if you're gonna be selfish, bro, you're gonna have to go full for selfish. And when you're doing that, when you're in that selfish mode, you get so good at your craft that people can't ignore you. So then there's that side. There's a selfish side that after 3 years of you just grinding your ass off, you're gonna be undeniably good at what you do. But then there's a side where if you're just a little less selfish, you get those relationships that can eventually help you in other industries as well. So do you want to specialize or do you want to be a jack of all trades kind of? Because if you think about it, I think of it like in a weird way. Like if you're full selfish, you're gonna build that business and become like a specialist. But then if you're like, it's like kind of like I don't know, man.
Like a Jeff Bezos versus like who's like the opposite of Jeff Bezos, the Bill Gates.
No.
Right?
Jeff Bezos. Bill Gates put his head down and worked.
Extremely selfish to pursue his sort of ideas and goals, and Bill Gates is sort of like he gave that up to, like, he doesn't care about Microsoft.
Yeah, after like 40 years of like putting his head down and grinding and building the company to where it is right now, he was selfish for 30, 40 years to build his dream. Jeff Bezos has been doing it for the last 20, 25 years to build his dream, and he's going to keep going for another 15 years before he even thinks.
So what I'm getting about this is that
Elon Musk is extremely selfish in the way. I mean, he's doing it for humanity, but like in terms of being productive,
like he wants to die on Mars. That's his goal.
Huh?
He wants to die on Mars. That's his goal.
It is actually selfish then, because it's like a personal thing.
Yeah.
But then you look at somebody like, who's a connector that you would think of in your head?
A connector.
Like automatically, I think of Mike Malak, bro, because he's just a PR agent, and so he could have grinded his YouTube channel selfishly and not meet all those people, and then he could have used his platform to promote his book, and he would have got as many sales. But instead, he's over here making connections, building networks, and when he releases this book, he might not have like if he would have focused 100% on his YouTube channel, probably 5 million subscribers right now. He's at 1 million right now, but he still had like all these influencers promoting the book, and his online persona is that he's like a giver, so people are automatically going to want to purchase from him.
Did you ever read The Tipping Point?
Yeah, bro. Unfortunately,
What are the personality types? Connectors.
connectors, Mavins, and like one more.
What is the one? Mavin?
Mavin, he's like the guy who knows it all.
And then there's another one. You looking it up right now?
Yeah.
But I think that'll help us because we're looking at Jeff Bezos and stuff, but we're not really looking at the other personality types.
Connector, Mavin, salesman.
Tipping Point is a book by Malcolm Gladwell where he talks about a couple of personality traits to reach a sort of tipping point, which sort of reaches this culmination where it exponentially grows.
Yeah, so Mavins are information specialists.
Mm-hmm.
Salesmen are charismatic. And then connectors are people specialists. So Mike is a connector.
Jeff Bezos is a specialist. No.
Logan
I think
charismatic.
What?
Listen, so in Mike's world, Mike is a connector. Logan would be the salesman because he's charismatic and he's like the talent of the content. And then like the information specialist would be like his team, his lawyers, review team, his accountant, his manager.
Okay.
Those are the people who will keep Logan grounded. Mike is the one who connects Logan with everybody, but also he gets the benefit from it because he's the guy who connected everybody to Logan Paul, if you know what I mean. So that's a good way to put it. So Jeff Bezos he's
I would think he's an information specialist, right?
yeah, no. He's a salesman. He's
You
a salesman
think?
because
I don't think he's a salesman, bro.
in the beginning he started as an information specialist, but as he grew he became a salesman. Because when you're a salesman, same thing happened with Bill Gates. In the beginning you grind. You do everything yourself.
Or
become a salesman.
Hold up. Or maybe he's a salesman because even like in the interviews in like 1999, he's talking about all about the customer, right? It's all about the customer.
Charismatic, he's always been.
But Bezos?
So listen, these big companies, these multi-trillion-dollar companies, billion and trillion-dollar companies.
You know who's a maven?
Typically, the founder starts off as a maven. Then from there, they move on to a salesman and hire more mavens, and they hire connectors because that's what helps grow the company.
Do you know who's a maven?
So,
The information specialist, Mark Zuckerberg.
But then he moved to a salesman because he started doing keynotes. He started hiring. Zuckerberg is no longer coding, bro. He's hiring coders. He's coming up with a pretty much basic idea.
Yeah.
The coders do it for him. He has lawyers. Those are information specialists. He has accountants. He has teams. He has a whole company of workers. Same thing with Jeff. Same thing with Bill Gates. You look at Elon Musk. He might actually be both a salesman and a maven.
Elon Musk, yeah, because he's building those rockets.
Yeah.
And like, but he still hires and like sells the company. Yeah. And like has those keynotes.
Which is why he's working an unbelievable amount. Which is actually, if you look at current Elon Musk, that's Mark Zuckerberg, that's Bill Gates, that's Jeff Bezos, all in their early stages as well. But all of them are just in a later stage of building companies. And since Elon is managing so many damn companies, it just seems like he's in his early stages.
Which is fucking crazy because if Elon Musk is only in his early stages, if his vision keeps getting completed, bro, Elon Musk is gonna be unbelievably rich.
I don't think he cares about being rich anymore, bro. He literally
Nah,
is.
but like already he's $23 billion, right? And he obviously
Not
gets
just
paid in
money.
CEO packages on growth of the company.
You know he's not.
That was just a side note. It's
Bro,
not really important.
Elon's gonna be a guaranteed
Trillionaire.
I don't know about trillionaire, but definitely a guaranteed centibillionaire, which is over 100 billion. Guaranteed. A couple hundred billion. Trillion, we'll see. It depends how much of his goals get done before he dies. But then again, he's not doing it for the money. Because if it was for the money, 23 billion is plenty.
Hey,
And for the money.
it's really easy to say as a billionaire that he's not doing it for the money, bro.
But you've made it multiple points this whole podcast that he wants to die on Mars. So like, how are you gonna argue that he's doing it for the money now?
That doesn't mean he doesn't, like, there's not, like, just because it's completely, you can have something and still do something for the money, but still, like, it's not binary. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It's gray. It's not black or white. It's like,
But
it's all these factors.
Elon's not in it for the money, unless the money he's using to invest in his companies to grow it even more, to get his vision.
Exactly.
He has a vision, bro.
The capital allows him to express his point of view and grow his companies and push his worldview on other people, which is why he wants the money. Good way to end the podcast. This is Hector Guerra with Zachary Zawagi. It's 12:25. We started this podcast about 2 hours ago, and I'm tired as shit.
Fuck you.
Isn't that the